Good evening, Mustang fans. We are coming to you from the Furry Sports Complex on the campus of Gateway Senior High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. We're going to get you set for action tonight's huge Quad A Section 2 matchup between the Gateway Gators and your Plum Mustangs. The Gators come into this matchup with an overall record of 8-4 and a section record of 4-0. They lead the Quad A Section 2 conference. Senior forward Daylon Harris for a big and athletic Gateway roster. Darren Freeman is in his first year with coaching the Gators and so far has done a great job. The Mustangs come into this game with an overall record of 9-3 and a section record of 3-1. Plum is coming off a tough 76-71 overtime loss to rival Penn Hills, a game in which Plum's leading scorer James Edwards put up 38 points. The Mustangs are led by longtime head coach Ron Richards. Good evening once again. My name is Joe Nania. Alongside me are my fellow broadcasters, Nick Poprocky, Nick Spud Satovich, Cam Kutzner, Logan Carney, and TV production teacher Mr. Rick Barat, also his son Zachary. Guys, this is a huge battle for first place in the conference. Coming off a devastating loss, what is the mindset the Mustangs have coming into this game?
Forget about the past and worry about the game in front of you. That is what Jake Matolo, senior captain of this team, told me this week after that tough loss to Penn Hills. The team suffered a really difficult defeat. They have to come back ready to play. They know how important this game is, and no matter what happened to them earlier this week, they can still achieve number one in the conference. They need to play really well tonight.
Well, I think the big key to this game is you have to get James Edwards open. He's your key player, your star player. He's coming off a huge game in which, the Mustangs did unfortunately lose. But if he gets 20 points, if he gets up to his average, I do believe the Mustangs will end up winning this game.
It looks like Deemer will get the start over Adam Marr. We saw a lot of Deemer in Tuesday's game. What do we look for in Deemer tonight?
Well, Joe, as we see the opening tip-off here, won by Robbie. After the first few minutes of that game against Penn Hills, Adam went out of the game. He had 2 fouls real early, did not come back in. It was Robbie the rest of the way. He played very well. I think they look forward to him playing well again tonight against a big team.
Here's James Edwards with the ball. He drives and looks like he was blocked.
I mean, you guys, you can see it's probably throwback night, Friday night here at Gateway Gymnasium. They have a whole section of their student body here, probably over 60, 70 kids. So Gateway wants to finish his first run through the section as the number 1 team in the section.
There's Vivino trying a layup, a little off. Back to Deemer, gets his own bound. Goes up with it and was fouled.
Joe, a lot of the talk coming into this game between you and I was the size advantage Gateway had. Early on here, offensive boards, a couple there for Robbie Deemer. The Mustangs looking very aggressive in this game.
I don't think they're going to back down from Gateway's size. They're a tough, resilient bunch, and that's the thing they're going to play their day.
As Robbie makes the first one, I was talking to James Edwards, the leading scorer earlier this week. He knows that there's no reason for them to be intimidated or no reason for them to think back at that Penn Hills game because there's a very good reason for them to win this one tonight.
Deemer hits both. Number 10, Arrington Johns, looks like he'll be starting at point for the Gators. Inside the Daylon Harris.
Already you see that size advantage. Go into the inside.
Daylon Harris is the leading scorer for the Gators tonight. He's a big 6'5" senior.
Good job by Mike McGuire.
Mr. Barat, what do the Mustangs look for in tonight's game?
I agree with what Nick said. A quote from Jake Matolo, the past is in the past. Plum wins. They're tied with Gateway and McKeesport for the section lead almost at the halfway point of the season, and they beat both those teams. So that's the Plum's advantage. If Plum loses, they're still right there. Even though they lost to Penn Hills, they beat Fox Chapel, so they're still in good position to make the playoffs. It's early in the season. I think Coach Richards is real curious to see how they respond from a heartbreaking loss at home to the Indians. And the Indians they're a good team, but they're not a top echelon team in the section. They just lost last night in that game after school, the rescheduled game against the McKeesport Tigers, 66-60. So we kind of know right now, Gateway, an elite team in the section, McKeesport, elite team in the section. So Plum's out here on a Friday night, and hopefully they'll be able to rebound and play with the Gators.
It looks like Will Fuhrer just rejected Aiden Howard.
Just joining us, it's 2-2 at the 6:28 mark of the first quarter. Oh, what
Stolen
a bad
by
pass
Deemer.
there, huh?
Mike McGuire will try a two off the top of the backboard, so that'll give possession to the Gateway Gators.
Tough shot there from Mike. I think you would have probably rather seen a little bit more ball movement from the Mustangs, but early we're definitely seeing a much more aggressive team than we saw early against Penn Hills. That's a very good positive for them.
You know, and I don't think also that, Plum's not going to try to push the issue here against Gateway. They want to take them out of their flow, slow the game down. The last thing you need is the 70, 80 students from their student body to be all fired up throughout the game.
Right.
So
Looks like that's going to be a charge drawn by number 5, Will Fuhrer, senior captain of this team, taking the charge.
That's a great heads-up play by another senior. We always talk about the leadership on the team. Will, a very savvy player, makes a very nice play there.
And that's the second foul already on their big freshman. That's John Paul Kromka, number 33, already his second. Just under 2.5 minutes into this game.
Yeah, Joe, that could be a big factor here for Gateway. Kromka, like you said, just a freshman. He's an excellent player with a lot of potential. He could really cause a lot of habits for Plum tonight.
Deemer tried to go up with
Will there, I think, guys, right? On Fuhrer.
Looks like it is going to be on the
Looks like
Mustangs.
it's going to be on Will.
It's team second. Will's first. And this right now, guys, is playing right into Plum's hands. A good shot there by the Gators.
They're going to call that foul on the floor, it looks like. That was Frank Bozasevic.
I think Plum's going to win a majority of their games this year, and you guys know that, with the score in the 50s. If a team's going to put up, like Penn Hills did, 70, 76, it's going to be difficult for Plum to climb that mountain.
Those aren't games that Coach Richards wants his team to be involved in. This type of style they play, they like to slow the game down. They don't want to see too many fast break opportunities from the other team.
Sure, and good defense. Oh, good play. Blocking
Call a
foul.
tough charge there on Adam Marr,
Adam
number
Marr.
20.
Looks like they're going to call the
Could
block.
have went either way. John Horner had the ball there for the Gators. It's Bozasevic inbounding for the Gators. Daylon Harris just takes it himself.
Good play there by Harris. He penetrated right around James Edwards. And Gateway goes up by 2. Uh-oh, turnover.
Stolen. Frank Bozasevic the other way. He'll go up with it and miss. Looks like Daylon Harris got the rebound and was fouled.
Joe, right now, Daylon Harris has been the big issue so far for the Mustangs defense. He's playing very well. He has all season. He's a big athlete. They're really going to have to get a body on him on that offensive glass.
And you look towards this game, they might need a double team or set a defense to stop him.
And Joe, there is Harris misses his first. It's going to take a physical team and a team that's not going to back down, much like the Mustangs, to stabilize the athleticism and the aggressiveness that Harris plays with.
4:46 left. Gateway holds. Still a 4-2 game possession here.
See Plum slowing things down, I think just like we would expect them to do. we are seeing Adam Marr early in the game.
Plum retains possession there. Defense by Daylon Harris. James is going to try three, and he hits it.
Big shot there for James. The Mustangs have gone on a little bit of a dry spell after the first minute. Their first field goal gets down, and of course it's James Edwards.
James had 38 points in the loss at in the Plum Arena.
You see a
there
travel
on
there.
Tuesday.
And James just really took over for the Mustangs offense on Tuesday. That's the kind of performance you can see from him night in and night out. He is a tremendous athlete and one of the best shooters we've seen at the high school level.
Well, coming into the season, you wondered how the Mustangs were going to be able to replace the production and the leadership they got by Nick Stotler and Austin Dieter. Having James step up and average over 20 points a game has been huge.
And you see Harris
Daylon Harris.
get a breakaway dunk.
Breakaway dunk for the Gators.
What a big time play there by Harris.
He is
He
electric.
took that ball downtown, and now the Gators with a 6-5 lead. It'll be interesting how Plum responds, guys.
There's Fuhrer on the outside.
And this is what we expected from Plum, guys. Slow it down, be very deliberate.
Mike will take it himself, just off the mark.
Nice move by Mike, just couldn't get the shot to go.
Arrington Johns is going to try a two. A little bit off the mark. Fuhrer, nice rebound.
Goes James.
James is in the open court here.
Oh, good move. That's a foul.
Looks
This
like
NBA,
Daylon
that
could
would be the
hurt here.
continuation, but it's not. And actually, Harris is slow to
Little
get
slow
up
to go.
there. Looks like they bump knees, and looks like Harris is going to come out. Might
Daylon
be a-
looks like he's favoring his right ankle or knee.
Yeah, it's a good call, Nick. So that might be a little bit of a break here for the Mustangs. Mike McGuire coming out for the Mustangs, talking to assistant coach Rich Mull and Bobby Franklin Jr. on the sidelines. We have 3:05 left in the first, just joining us. Low scoring game. Very deliberate. Plum with 5 team fouls. The Gators with 4. 6-5 score.
There's James Edwards. He go up, and there's a foul called. It's number 32, James Kromka. He hits the first.
You know, you
Draws
could
the
just
game
kind
up
of
to
tell
6.
with a player like James Edwards, there's a look in his eye, there's a tone in his voice. In a game of this magnitude, he's always ready to go, and he's not afraid to back down to a challenge.
Plum holds the 7-6 advantage here, 2:54 left in the first quarter.
Oh, that was almost a perfect there, almost give and go. Ball deflected off the Mustangs. Will be Gators ball underneath the basket.
Clayton Nola will inbound the ball there. They'll call that foul on James.
Is that his first, Nick, I believe?
That will be James's first, Mr. Barat.
Coach Richards going to complain on that. And I don't know if you can see him, but if James gets in any type of foul trouble, that's a huge detriment to the Mustangs. So, I mean, what Coach Richards is doing, he's complaining right now. Hopefully James will avoid any other fouls in the first half. If he picks up a quick second one, Plum will be in trouble.
It's imperative for the Mustangs offense that he is in the game. He is their big point producer.
Oh, without a doubt, Nick, without a doubt. Good defense there by Reno. And again, this is what we said. Plum's going to go man-to-man, and that's travel.
with
You
it.
know what? And that's their game, and that's
right.
what we've talked about. Good man-to-man defense. Don't give up the easy shot. The other team, more than likely, can and will make a mistake. Another turnover by the Gators. Plum up by 1, under 2.
Looks like Gateway's gone quickly to some of their bench players.
Oh, that's Plum ball. That was off number 4 there, Joe. I don't have a name for the Gators.
That's Aiden Howard.
Aiden Howard. And you know what? Plum's missed a couple bunnies tonight too. They could have another 3-4 baskets. They've drove the lane. We've seen McGuire do it. And
James, we're off.
we're on. Okay, this has never happened before. Just went.
Anything cool back here?
Hello.
I didn't touch anything. I thought it was maybe this, but I put that back in.
What's that?
I thought it was this, but I pushed it a little further. Think maybe?
Hello. No.
Did we step on anything?
Fix the audio. Something's wrong with the power.
Test, test. Hey, are the audio levels good over there?
Whoa. Test, ladies and gentlemen, for the technical difficulties.
We had some issues with the audio, but it seems that we might have fixed it, so testing. As we re-enter this game, about 5:30 remaining here in the second quarter, the Mustangs lead 13-6. As we just saw a Mustang turnover, and Gateway will take the ball inbounded from their own bench.
That's number 12, Clayton Noah. Arrington Johns taking the ball down for Gateway.
Gateway's offense has found something of a dead end so far, Joe. What are you seeing out there?
Well, we saw number 2, Daylon Harris, go out of the game for a little bit. He went back out. I don't know if the knee is not feeling 100%, but it looks like Daylon is back on the bench. They might have stalled a little bit on the offensive end. Here's McGuire.
Well, just to touch on your point, Joe, when he was out there, you can see him like grimacing in pain. You can tell that the knee was definitely bothering him. Whenever the play was break up, he was limping. And I think that is a big reason why the offense has started the way that they are.
Joe, we've seen good execution so far by the Mustangs defense, something they struggle with a little bit against Penn Hills. What have they been doing to improve stopping the other team's offense?
Well, they aren't letting Gateway run the floor now. Gateway is more of a run and gun team like we saw with Penn Hills, but the Mustangs have slowed them down so far in this game.
As you see Adam miss that foul shot.
There's number 10, Arrington Johns, taking the ball down for the Gators. He'll take it himself. Looks like they'll call the charge the other way. Huge play for the Mustangs there.
We've seen a lot of selfless defense. That's not the first time we've seen committed by the Gateway offense. Some very good defense. That time it was Adam Moore drawing a foul.
We'll see Michael McGuire inbound here for the Mustangs. James Edwards with the ball now. James will take a two-pointer off the mark. Harris got the rebound and was fouled.
He
Joe, to kind of touch on that, the success of the Mustangs defense, I talked to Will Fuhrer, another one of the senior captains this week. He said that the number one thing they've practiced after that debacle defensively against Penn Hills was being more aggressive defensively, rebounding the ball, but also being able to be a little more accountable for themselves. And they've done an excellent job so far. They've really done a very good job playing man defense against a very athletic team.
There's a missed foul shot there for Harris.
One of the things that you can see by the Mustangs is that even though they are obviously not matched up the size-wise to Gateway, they have been playing a lot tougher, a lot more aggressive than we're used to seeing. And even Robbie, who re-entered this game, was out for a bit due to foul trouble. When he was in there, he grabbed a lot of rebounds over down the post to guys that were much bigger than him. And that's probably the main reason that he got the start today over Adam. As even though Adam's taller, he's much more, as you say, built than Adam, and is able to play more aggressive and more physical.
As Will hits that lefty hook shot, beautiful move inside by the captain.
It's 15-7. 3 minutes, 50 seconds left here in the second.
Daylon looks like he's moving a little bit better.
Daylon Harris, he'll take a deep two by Daylon Harris there. He's obviously Gateway's go-to guy right now.
And when he entered the game early in the game, you can see the pain on his face. After he just took that shot there, he looks back to be 100%.
Fuhrer will get his own rebound. Looks like they will call a jump ball, though.
We've definitely seen Fuhrer step it up so far today. He's playing really well defensively, and he's being aggressive on the offensive side of the floor.
There's a steal by Frank Bozasevic. He'll take a two-point layup. Gateway looks like they have a little bit of momentum right now. Logan, what do the Mustangs have to do to prevent that?
Well, I think they need to shut them down offensively. They're playing a low-scoring game. Like, as I believe it was Mr. Broad earlier in the game, low-scoring games is where the Mustangs want it. As how strong that they can play and how aggressive that they can play. The low-scoring games are usually the ones that the Mustangs win. If they can keep shutting them down offensively and keep the game low-scoring and let James Edwards get some good.
It's a big three.
Big corner three from Rubino.
Right there. I do believe that the Mustangs can win this game.
Nick, we just saw a big three by Vivino. What does that mean for him to step up like this in a time?
Well, as Daylon goes to the hoop and misses, Taylor struggled just a little bit against Penn Hills with his ball control, with his confidence. And I think that shot in this given situation in front of the Plum student section, that could help out his psyche, his confidence. That could really go far for him.
Well, Mike McGuire pump fake there and lost control of the ball, so we'll see Clayton Nola inbound for the Gators.
And that was a real good pump fake there by Mike. He was just unable to finish. We apologize again for the technical difficulties. I think I've missed the last 8 minutes of the game we thought we had a major malfunction with the audio, but I'm sure everyone's laughing at us now. When it was on the whole time, we just couldn't hear ourselves. So trying to get rid of all this static.
Daylon walked there. Good defense by senior captain Will Fuhrer.
And walking down the court, Daylon definitely favoring that right knee just a little bit. He doesn't look incredibly comfortable.
Well, you can tell even the way he's played earlier in the game. He was much more aggressive, much more driving to the hoop. Now we see he's been backing off a bit. He's not been taking as many shots as he used to.
That's right.
Definitely feeling some sort of pain, even though he tries not to show it. And as you can tell, he just does not want to be taken out of this game.
Here's James Edwards.
Oh, good move.
Great pass to Will.
That should have been. They could have called a travel there on James, but a good no call. 20-11, Mustangs with the lead with 1:07 left to go here in the second quarter, and Plum is starting to pull away, which is really, really good. And the last minute of the half here is going to make a big difference if Plum can sustain this 9-point lead or even increase it to double digits, guys.
Looks like number 5, that's Efolian Vinny. He looks like he's favoring some sort of leg pressure. He kind of tripped on the court there. He could be facing a little bit of an injury.
Mustangs with just 30 seconds left. Interesting to see if they will hold for the last shot of the half.
I think exactly that's what they're doing here, Nick.
They're very comfortable with the 9-point lead. They want to make it double digits.
Sure, and I totally agree with this call. And I kick it back out. You know they want to get James the ball on the left wing there. Now James comes over to the right.
10 seconds.
Mike fakes that way. Oh.
Ball to James with 3 seconds.
Good shot.
They'll miss right before the half, but the Mustangs go into the break with a big 20-11 advantage. What have we seen from the Mustangs so far?
Well, the Mustangs have come out way more aggressive, way more confident on the defensive side of the ball than they did at home against Penn Hills. I think they were revved up, they were prepared to play this big game, and they've really been, I think, the better team so far.
I think I have to agree with you, Nick. Even though, Gateway has a huge size advantage on the Mustangs, Plum has been the much more physical team. They've been winning all the rebounds, all the battles. You can tell by the skateboard. And, you hate to say this is a reason why they're winning, but the injury early in the first quarter is definitely one of the big reasons, as even when he came back in, he has not been playing the same way that he has been early in the game.
And we'll see if Daylon can come back in the second half and be as effective as he was in those first few minutes.
Well, let's pretend I didn't see the entire second quarter, which I don't think I saw until the last minute. I don't think I did see the second quarter. So, guys, since we had audio issues, why don't you tell us what happened in the second quarter here? I mean, I can easily look up on the scoreboard and see that James Edwards is the leading scorer with 7 points. And the last time I talked, I saw James picked up his first foul. So why don't you fill me in, since I was fixing the headset box? What did I miss here in the second quarter?
I think we've seen a lot more of Will Fuhr get involved with the offense. He's taken more shots. He's made a few. He has 4 points now and the second leading scorer for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Joe, and the other thing we've seen is a stiffening defense. Only 6 points allowed in the first quarter and only 5 points in that second quarter. The Mustangs have been much more aggressive, like we already touched on. Their rebounding has been very, very good considering the size difference. They're boxing out, they're being aggressive. And I talk about a small guy, a sophomore like Adam Marr. He's using his height, he's making physical plays, and he's been an effective player inside for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Joe, I'd like to touch on what you said about Will Fuhr. Even though James Edwards is the leading scorer, Will Fuhr has probably been playing the best ball out there on the Mustangs.
He's been focused defensively.
Defensively is what I was going to say. He has definitely been the defensive leader out there. As we've seen him made a couple big plays down the first half. They've been playing really aggressive. And if he can keep this game up, if James can continue scoring, then we'll see another second half win by the Mustangs.
Well, we did touch on Daylon Harris getting a bit of an injury in that right knee. We'll see if he'll come back a little bit stronger in the second half. He looked to be in charge the first 3-4 minutes of this game.
You could see the confidence level on his face when he came out. I think when he came back in the game, I don't know if he's a little bit worried about, further injuring that knee, which is what we're assuming it was the knee on that run-in he had with James. But there's something about his game that's just been a little bit, it seems intimidated by the game. He had one travel call on the near end of the court, and he just kind of dropped the ball and walked slowly back down to the other side of the court. He looks uncomfortable, and hopefully for the Gators, he can play effectively here in this second half.
Guys, and what we talked about in the intro, that Plum has to win the game in the 50s. Well, the score being 20-11 at halftime obviously plays in Plum's favor. Now, we know the Gators aren't going to score just 11 points. I mean, their coach is probably letting them know in not so much nice terms, that 11 points is not efficient enough. So I expect the Gators to come out like wildfire here at the beginning of the third quarter. Plum has 20 points. I thought Plum would need to be in the high 40s or low 50s. We know Edwards has 7, McGuire has 2, Vino hit the 1-3. I mean, Plum's going to have to get some scoring from someone, but I do agree with what you said, Nick. Will Fuhr in there. You know what? Will's a good athlete. Might not be an All-American basketball player, but Will's played football for several years. He's played basketball for several years. He knows what it's like to play in a big game. He's not going to score 30 points and grab 15 rebounds, but he's going to play good, solid defense. He's going to get 7, 8, 9 rebounds. He's going to chip in a little bit, and I think Will has 4 points.
Yes. Right.
So that's real good, and that's what you want from Will Fuhr, and that's exactly what Eric Gillis was. Coach Gillis used to be an assistant coach here for the Mustangs. Now is the head coach for the Lady Mustangs. Eric Gillis would get 6 points, 6, 7 rebounds a game, and you needed that. You needed that blue-collar workers, and that's what we're seeing tonight from what I saw for a little bit of the second quarter from the Mustangs, since I missed a good bit of it.
Well, we are looking at the WPIL class Section 2 conference here, and Gateway leads the way with a 4-0 conference record. They're averaging 62.4 game, only have 11 here. Good defense by the Mustangs.
Yeah, the number that jumps off the board when you look at the statistics of the Section 2 Quad A conference, the Mustangs only averaging just under 47 points a game given up. The second closest to them would be the Fox Chapel Foxes, only giving up 56.5. The Mustangs, even after giving up 76 points to Penn Hills on Tuesday, they have been a really good defensive team all season against everybody they've played, short of that Penn Hills game. Plum is really establishing their defensive dominance so far.
And you know what? What's kind of misleading also is Plum's averaging 55 points, and that's after a 71-point score against Penn Hills.
They were in the very low 50s.
Yes, or the high 40s. I didn't look at it before that game. So, you know, like I said, Plum needs to win the game scoring in the high 40s, low 50s. And looking at the section standings, I wish we can put up the graphic, but Plum giving up 46.9 points. There's no one close. I think that's the thing that stands out the most, Pop, is, I mean, you have Woodland Hills, Franklin, 63-60, Fox Chapel at 56, Penn Hills at 64, McKeesport 57, and also 57 Gateway. I mean, Plum's not even in the 50s. So you got to bring your A game, and if you're lazy at all and you're not working for your shots, I think it's safe to say the Mustangs are going to make you pay.
And we've seen Gateway settle a little bit for jump shots here in the first half.
Sure. And I will say this: if Gateway plays the whole third quarter and they're not above 20, I mean, it's like what I always tell you guys in class: if it looks like a rat and smells like a rat, it's
probably a
rat. So, if Gateway's not over 20 by the end of the third quarter, I highly doubt, unless something dramatic happens, that they're going to score 20 in the fourth.
That's right.
Because then you start to panic, you start to push shots, rush shots, and that's where Plum can come back and get easy baskets. So I really think the first couple minutes here to start the third quarter is going to be a big determining factor in how the rest of this game goes. I mean, if Gateway comes out and scores the first 5, 6, 7 points, this is going to be a dogfight to the end. But if Plum just plays their game, settles it down, is really deliberate, it's going to get on Gateway. Logan, looked like you wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to say exactly what you were going to say.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Logan. I'm just happy I can hear myself with the audio. So
you look at this Plum Mustang roster, and the heights aren't going to jump out at you. And you look at the Gateway roster, there's a lot of 6'5" players on this team. What have the Mustangs been doing to limit this size differential that we see in the Gators?
Well, Joe, like we touched on a little bit, they've been a lot more aggressive than we've seen against Penn Hills, like we mentioned. Boxing out, they've been tremendous. Robbie Deemer got in a little bit of foul trouble there early in the game, getting the start, but we saw him playing very well offensively and defensively, getting rebounds. We've seen some Mustang players hit the deck, go down to the floor. The one great pass by James Edwards after he got his own rebound, went down to the floor, maintained a dribble, and was able to get the ball to Will Fuhrer, and he finished. We've seen a scrappy Plum team, which is something that they're really going to need to beat a team that's this athletic and that's coming in with this much confidence, having not lost the game in the section yet.
Well, even to touch on how aggressive they've been, you can even tell at the last shot at the end when Mikey dived for a ball and hit it, slapped it over to James. And James just drove in and obviously got his own rebound. I mean, the Mustangs have been playing a lot tougher than Gateway. Even though Gateway has a size advantage, the Mustangs have clearly been the more physical team. And whether it be, taking hard charges, even we saw the blocking foul at Adam, you could hear the thud all the way from up here in the booth. The Mustangs have been playing a lot tougher, a lot more physical than Gateway. And that's the reason why they have such a 9-point lead over arguably the best team in the section.
And you hate to say, and I'm sure you guys realize this playing football, there's not a good loss. I mean, people and reporters, now you guys are media, will say, well, yeah, that Penn Hills game might have turned around the season. And maybe it did. I mean, it wasn't a good loss because you'd want to win, but that might have kind of set Plum on the path like, hey, if we play hard and we play good, solid defense, we're going to win the majority of our games. And obviously, if the first half here at Gateway is any indication, so far so good for our Mustangs.
Definitely.
Well, we'll start the second half here with Gateway having the possession. That's number 10, Arrington Johns.
We apologize for the fans walking in the way. Gateway is nice. We have our own area to film from. But on the other hand, we're right in the press box.
Incredible move by James Edwards.
And there's the fans are right in front of us.
John Paul Kromka looks like he's back in the game. We didn't see a lot of Kromka because of early foul trouble.
Well, that should have been Plum ball, I thought.
Kromka, that big 6'7" freshman. He's got a bright future, doesn't he, Joe?
He sure does. We saw a little glimpse of him in the Plum tournament. They played, I think it was
Knock, I believe.
And we saw a little bit of Kromka. He is a heck of a player.
Tough bounce there.
It's number 4, Aiden Howard. Gators and Mustangs trade baskets. Edwards, a little bit off the mark, but Fuhrer got the rebound.
Oh, bad pass by Will.
It's Frank Bozashevic.
A good job not fouling there by Mike.
Yeah, without a doubt, good foul. He stopped an easy two.
Aiden Howard, a little bit off the mark. Deemer had the rebound. There's Taylor Vivino.
Oh, Will.
James found Will.
Wow.
Deemer had a shot at it. Gateway ball. They've had a few opportunities down close. Couldn't convert there, Mr. Brock.
We talked about earlier, Joe. Hope that doesn't come back and bite Plum, but same thing happened at the beginning of the first quarter. Plum couldn't convert on a couple bunnies there. We'll see if Gateway can capitalize.
Good look by Daylon Harris to Frank Bozashevic.
Gateway draws within 7, trying to push the issue here with just under 6 minutes to go. Would be shocked if Plum rushed a shot here.
James from deep.
Big time shot there for James.
Big time shot from James is right.
It's James Edwards. That is his 12th point. Has almost half of Plum's points. Just joining us, 25-15. Mustangs over the Gators with under 5:30 left to go in the third.
John Paul Kromka
Kronka bringing it home, huh?
Wow.
There's that size.
That size right down the lane. The last two Gateway baskets, guys, they've got penetration. We didn't see a lot of that in the first half.
And the Mustangs can't let the Gateway faithful get into this game like they have whenever they've scored dunks. Robbie Deemer comes back with his own.
We talked about Robbie at halftime. He's a really aggressive guy on the offensive boards, and another big offensive rebound there for Robbie.
The last two games, he's really stepped up big.
No question about it.
Mustangs lead here 27-17 at the 6:02 mark in the third.
Typically, I'm not all for the offense for calling timeout after they make a basket. That might be a real good timeout by Coach Richards because Gateway has already put on 6 points in the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. In the last two, penetrating the lane. Might have wanted to tell his guys, listen, stop the penetration, go back, play strong defense. You know, the lead is 10, which is one more than it was at halftime, but you kind of get at least I do, I get the impression the momentum's kind of starting to swing towards the Gator side. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, though.
No, I'm seeing the same thing there, Mr. Barat.
Looks like the Gateway student section's getting a little bit more into it than they have in the first.
Sure, Gateway really pushing the pace.
Yeah, they got to will their team to a victory.
John Paul Kromka, a little bit off the mark, and Fuhr got the rebound.
Wow, Will said the same thing.
I thought it could have been a foul.
No, I did not think that was a foul. Oh, no, they didn't call it.
They call a hell of a ball.
Tie-up.
Held ball. That was the right call. I thought that was going to be called on Will.
Here's James Edwards running point.
Trying to force feed it over to James. The offense will flow through James as he backs it out.
Looks like Coach Richards calling some motion on the offensive side of the floor. Trying to direct his players around, find something open.
Here's Mike. Inside to Adam. Great move.
Really nice hook shot
there.
And that's the potential you see from the young Adam Marr.
Good play by Adam Marr, and that extends Plum's lead to 12.
29-17, 4 minutes exactly left in this third quarter.
Aiden Howard looks like he got fouled there.
That was Taylor Bambino, the hole. And, you know, Gateway, they're an athletic team. They can push the issue and get to the basket, but we have not seen them with a lot of free throw opportunities.
And the ones they've had actually popped, they've missed.
Yeah. We've seen Daylon Harris get to the line a good amount of times, but he has not been able to convert his shots.
Aiden Howard is a little bit off on the first.
That's something Gateway is going to have to improve on if they want to be able to come back in this game. They're going to have to get to the line because there's no easy shots against this Mustang defense the way they're playing right now.
Hits the second. 29-18, just under 4 minutes left in this third quarter here. Mike tried to look for Deemer.
Was it a kickball by Aiden Howard?
You know, guys, Harris has 9 points, but I think they've been kind of quiet.
He's been quiet since the first quarter.
After that breakaway dunk he had in the first quarter, he has not done a whole lot to get his name called.
Here's Kevin Brown.
First time we've seen KB in the game, I believe.
Second, he came in briefly in the first, Nick. But that's Coach Richards using his bench, trying to buy a couple minutes here at the end of the third. And you can see what's Plum doing. Passing around the perimeter, looking for the opening. And again, that ball will probably flow into James.
There he is with the ball right now.
Tremendous patience on the offensive side for the Mustangs.
There's Will penetrating.
Looks like he walked a little bit there. Unhappy with the call.
I think he slid his feet when he went with the pump fake.
But I'm okay with that. I mean, that happens.
That's a lot of wasted time off the clock.
Sure. I mean, when you're up by 11, I mean, yeah, you want to convert, but you know, you knocked a minute off the clock. And Gateway's going to have to attack here quick.
That's number 4. It's Aiden Howard.
We've seen a lot of Aiden Howard here in the second half, Joe.
Yes. And,
6'6". Junior for the Gators.
And that's one of the changes. That's one of the adjustments they made, guys. And you can see Gateway's at 20 points. They put in 9 this quarter, and we still have about 2:20 left to go.
They've definitely been more effective here in the third quarter than they were in the first half.
Well, you can tell they've definitely been more aggressive on offense. A lot of their points coming down in the paint. They've definitely been not intimidated by how much the Mustangs physically outplayed them. So you can see they definitely stepped up their game coming into the second half.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's Kevin.
Good move by Kevin.
He's fouled there.
Looks like that'll be the first foul on the Gators. Number 12, Clayton Nola.
Now, one thing we've noticed in the second half is both teams have definitely cut down on the fouls. I believe it was at this point in the first half of the game, Gateway already had 5 or 6 fouls.
As Mike misses that 3.
So, with them, do you think that's them stepping off as a physical they playing, or just being more cautious when they go aggressive on the ball?
I think, to be honest with you, the officials have let this game be played a little bit. Kind of let it be a player's game. I think that's a very good example right there. A good block by Will.
Mike will end up with the lost ball there.
Just 1:30 left. Mustangs lead 29-20 here in the third quarter.
Here's Will Fuhrer. Kevin
Great
Brown.
pass by Kevin Brown. A beautiful move. And the kick to Robbie Deemer.
Great pass by Kevin Brown there.
And that's why you have him, just a sophomore, coming in, one of the first guys off the bench.
Back out to an 11-point lead, guys, because we're now under a minute. Good pass.
Frank Bozasevic.
You know, Joe, we've only seen 2 players come off the bench in this game for the Mustangs. We saw Adam Marr for a while, and we saw Kevin Brown. We haven't seen any Jack Merrill, no Patrick Crossy.
We have not seen Patrick Crossy, and he's one of the first off the bench.
These are guys we've seen a lot of early in the season.
He has a pull-up one. I'm surprised here. Plum's trying to, like Mike looked like he was going to attack. They're doing exactly what they did at the end of the second quarter. One shot.
Mustangs will hold for the last shot.
Totally agree with this situation here and this play called by Coach Richards.
Great move by McGuire. Fine steamer.
Nice pass. Just
and if you
16
find an
seconds
open
left.
look like that, take it. And the Mustangs did exactly that.
Good offensive ball movement again for the Mustangs.
Kromka walked with it. And that's big to have the ball with 8 seconds left and one more possession for the Mustangs.
And they're up by 11, so they've actually extended their lead from halftime by 2.
33-22, the Mustangs with the lead.
Inbound will go to Edwards.
Got it to James in motion. He's fouled. That's ridiculous.
DeLong will try a long 3 off the mark.
Mr. Brought, you called that right away. It looked like James might have gotten slapped on the arm a few times.
Coach Richards not happy with that last possession, but what happened was when James Cross made court, he was getting
4 guys.
Yeah, and he did grab possession of the ball, but when you have 4 guys stabbing at you, trying to slap that ball away, I think James did all he could, but still can't complain where you're at. If I would have asked you guys today in 6th, 7th period, the score is going to be 33-22 at the end of the third, I don't think all of us would have said Plum would be up by 11 on the road at Gateway.
And Mr. Barrett, I think that brings that point back to the point that Logan made earlier in the game, that the referees seem to be letting the players play a little bit more in this second half.
Sure. And Gateway's running out of time, guys, because Plum's going to be real deliberate with the ball.
Well, going into this fourth quarter here, Plum Mustangs do have a 33-22 advantage. Gateway will start out with possession here.
Really interesting to see how Daylon Harris will perform here in the second half. Clearly, he is needed by the Gators if they want to come back and win this game.
And they're going right, and they're attacking right away, guys.
Well, as we saw in the last quarter, Gateway got, I don't know if it was all of their points, but it was definitely a vast majority of them in the paint. They've been definitely attacking more this last quarter than they did the first half.
As we see Vivino with that steal underneath.
Good defense by possession there by the Mustangs.
And I think you'll see a lot of long possessions here by the Mustangs in this fourth quarter, trying to cut down as many possessions as they can for the Gators.
Here's McGuire. Great move. Rejected by John Paul Kromka.
I'll tell you what, Joe, John Paul Kromka, he's got a lot of room to grow. He's a real skinny kid. You can tell he's a little immature as a player right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but he's going to be really special.
Rejected there. Arrington Johns rejected James Edwards, and Daylon Harris will go the other way. We'll call a foul. Coach Ron Richards wanted a walk before the foul was called.
They're going to get Will Fuhrer on the smack on the arm as Daylon went to the line. Daylon's had a little bit of trouble from the foul line earlier in this game. We'll see how he does on this opportunity for two.
Like we said, he has been a little bit quiet since that first quarter where he started out with all 6 points of Gateways.
Yeah, and as he backed up away from the line, you can tell he was definitely favored immediately as he makes his first free throw there.
Yeah, Logan, I think that knee is definitely affecting the way he's playing.
Yeah,
he's looking to be stretching it out on the line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right, Joe. He is definitely stretching it out. Feels like it's like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's a calf.
He hits both.
No, it's
Makes this a 9-point game.
33-24 for the Mustangs.
Not as much as the physical part that's been affecting this game. It's definitely the mental part of his knee injury. As you can tell, that the whole time he's not going to the basket as much as he used to. He did go to the basket a couple times here, but the last quarter when the Gateway was attacking down in the paint, it was not Daylon Harris who's going down. It was Daylon Harris was standing at the three-point line, mostly dissing out the passes. Early in the game, he was the main target down in the pass.
And while you were saying that, Logan, Daylon actually came out of the game. He limped on the bench, and he seems to be stretching out his knee right now. He doesn't look very comfortable.
He's walking around right now, just trying to get somewhat of a stretch of that knee.
Call that on Deemer. That will be his third, team fourth at the 7:08 mark. Plum up by 9. I think if you're Gateway, you got to get it to 5 by the 5.
Great defense by the Mustangs.
Jump ball.
Cause a jump ball. I think the
Mustangs have the
will
arrow.
Possession, yeah.
Take that.
And you see more aggressive defense. Guys hitting the deck, trying to make plays. And the full court pressure from Gateway, trying to get as many opportunities as they can to score.
And we looked into it at halftime. Gateway is coming into this game almost averaging 63 points a game. They're held to 24 right now.
James draws the block there.
Draws the block.
That was
foul.
Jim Kromka. As we see Jim Kromka and also number 12 Clayton Nola come out of the game for the Gators, and back in we see Daylon Harris.
Vivino. Stolen by Frank Bozovic.
And another steal back.
Yeah. Good steal by McGuire there.
Good resiliency by Mike there to make a play.
Mike stole it right back.
They'll get him on a walk.
Well, we've seen a lot of pressure defense from Gateway in this fourth quarter, haven't we?
And the Mustangs, they seem right now like they're a little unsettled. They've seen a lot of defensive pressure. I think it would be a good time for the Mustangs to, if they can get a stop here, have a nice slow offensive possession, grind some clock, and try to get a good shot opportunity, which they haven't seen a whole lot of, having not scored yet in the first 2 minutes of this fourth quarter.
Howard looks for an option. Looks like they'll call that foul on Fuhrer. So that'll be his third.
Team sixth for the Mustangs, so the next foul will put them in the bonus. They'll go to the 1-and-1 next time they have a foul on the floor. Will the Gateway Gators.
Aiden Howard tried a shot there, but Kevin Brown with a big rebound.
Nice aggressive play by an undersized guy like Kevin.
Here's James. Draws the foul, and he'll head to the line for two.
And we've seen a slow start for both offenses here in the fourth quarter. In the first 2 minutes and 15 seconds roughly, only one field goal, and it was by the Gators as James hits this first.
Hits it right in front of that Gateway student section.
I was looking at that, Joe. I was wondering if anyone would say anything. They started to stamp their feet, see if they can distract James as Plum goes up by 10 and now 11 with the 5:46 mark left to go. So Gateway's going to have to start forcing shots, guys, and has to push the ball every single time.
Arrington Johns.
And there you go. That was one of the times they pushed it. Now, boy, I did not see the block there, if anything.
I believe that'll be the fourth on Deemer. No, they'll call that fourth on Will Fuhrer.
Looks like Adam Marr will check back into the game for most likely for Will Fuhrer. They cannot afford to not have Will down the stretch.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. Maybe he does pull out Will here for at least a minute and a half.
Arrington Johns misses the first free throw. We will see Adam Marr come in for the senior.
And Joe down 35-24 with 5:37 left in this fourth quarter. These are shots the Gators really, really need to have at the foul line with 3 points.
Well, they got to have the freebies. They can't miss a few free throws here and there. These are all big points for the Gators.
Sure. 10-point lead now. 5:37 left to go. It's Kevin Brown will inbound. Oh, almost stolen.
Nice defensive play there by Arrington Johns.
Got to have good decisions here from Kevin Brown, the sophomore, inbounding the ball. There's a lot of closing speed in that Gateway defense.
So they're playing the full court press here. Doubling up James.
Good pass by James.
Finds Kevin Brown.
Good
open
pass.
Man. Adam Marr puts it up. And that's a big 2 points from the sophomore, Adam Marr.
That's a great way of breaking that full court press by the Mustangs.
Good block.
Kromka. Big 3-point.
3-point opportunity here for Kromka.
You know what, guys, I was thinking also 2 possessions ago, James Edwards came right down, penetrated the lane. We're in the fourth quarter, there's 5:07 left to go. He has 2 fouls. James he had probably 1 to give. He can probably be over-aggressive. And not that he needs to take a charge, but he can probably force the action, you know, and go to the line. James is a pretty decent free throw shooter to try to get something at the charity strike or an and one, since he only has 2 fouls for the game.
Looks like a timeout was called. The Mustangs have the 37-28 advantage. Just over 5 minutes left in this fourth quarter. What do we look for in these last 5 minutes?
Well, Joe, I think we're going to look at definitely a more aggressive offensive Gateway Gator team. Down by 9 points, they need points, and they need them quickly because they know Plum is going to take their time in the possession. I think you'll most likely see Plum trying to work the ball around, trying to get the best look possible. There is no shot clock. They can grind the clock as much as they want. Logan, I'd like to bring you in a little bit. What do you think that Coach Richards is telling the Mustangs right now with a 9-point lead with just over 5 minutes left?
Well, you got to play smart basketball. You can't keep giving up the fouls that they have the past couple of times. And as we saw, you know, the third quarter, Gateway got a lot of their points in the paint. In fact, I think they actually got all of their points in the paint. This quarter, we've seen the Mustangs shut them down in the paint, even though they did give up a couple of fouls, and that's how I got, I believe, half their points. So if the Mustangs can shut them down in the paint again, and without giving up the fouls, then this lead will be a lot easier to sustain.
Well, that ball was almost stolen, but James finds a way to get out of it.
I think we have our answer. What Plum might have been told. James pulled back there, could have went up for the point. So I'm surprised Deemer actually went up with it so early.
There's Frank Bozovic. He's a dangerous three-point shooter. Couldn't get it. Daylon Harris is there to clean it all up.
And Mr. Broad, earlier you talked about that momentum. The Mustangs could really use a good possession here to change that momentum. It's starting to lean towards the Gators again.
7-point advantage.
Sorry, Joe. Gateway with that full court pressure. They're like forcing the action, but Plum still hanging around. I mean, it hasn't been 7 since the middle of the second quarter, so 4:25. I told you, if you're Gateway, you want to get it down to 5 at the 5-minute mark. They might have it down to 5 by the 4-minute mark if Plum can't convert.
James goes up with it, and it looks like to be fouled.
You know, I think one thing in this game that we can't let go unnoticed is the impressive play by the sophomores. You know, Kevin Brown getting a lot of time. Specifically, though, Adam Marr has played a lot more physical than we've seen him play. And that's something you want out of, you know, your future starting center. And as James misses the first shot, hopefully one of your future star players. And it shows you with most of these guys being juniors and obviously 2 sophomores getting a lot of time, it shows you how the future of this, you know, Plum basketball team is going to look for the next couple of years.
There's no question they've got a lot of good underclassmen that aren't seniors that are playing very well for them tonight.
James will hit the second.
38-30, just over 4:20 remaining in this fourth quarter. Mustangs at the lead.
Frank Bozovic looks like he walked. Yep.
Good call.
Easy call there to make. Definitely took a few more steps.
I agree. That was such an easy call, no matter what their coach was jumping out on the court, and the student body wasn't happy, but that was very obvious.
Here's James trying to break the press.
A lot of pressure up top by these guards of the Gators.
Gators have some scrappy guards, and they've had a lot of steals here in the second half.
They have. They've been very aggressive, running the full court man.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Nick, but you can see what Plum's doing, what they did in the last minute and a half of the end of the second and third. They're just going to that almost 4 corners, pulling it back out.
Mike will take an open look and hit.
That's a big shot there from McGuire. 40-30, the Mustangs lead, 3.5 left.
He wasn't going to shoot, but then he saw the open look and took advantage.
And that's a great possession by the Mustangs. Almost a full minute off the clock.
Aiden Howard has the air ball there.
This is a huge possession for the Mustangs. If they can get some time off the clock and make a basket, that'll go very far for them trying to maintain this lead.
Looks like they're trying to take a few seconds off the clock here. Timeout called by Coach Richards.
I think that's a good timeout, Joe. I think just looking at James Edwards' mannerisms right now, he looks to be a little gassed. He's tired. I think he could use a minute to sit down and rest, get some water, because they're really going to need him to make some free throws here at the end of this game.
You know what, Pop? I was thinking the same thing. His last 2 possessions coming up, when he was getting hit, he wasn't bouncing right back. He was kind of, you can tell he was tired. Obviously, you're not going to take him out unless he was in any sort of foul troubles. Now you're under 3 minutes to go, but Plum's out by 10. I mean, unless there's a total collapse here and they miss a bunch of free throws at the end, it's going to be very difficult to lose this lead. So, but we've seen it happen before. So, last 3 minutes could take a half hour to play here. So, if Plum does go up by 12 or 13 or even 14, I think the game will be over. But we'll see what happens. But,
Hey, stranger things have happened.
yes, and, again, talking about the section standings, if this lead does hold, Plum, with one game remaining until they hit the halfway point of their schedule, will be tied with the McKeesport Tigers and the Gateway Gators for first in the section, and they've beaten both those
Given the
teams.
situation, they would have beaten both those teams in the head-to-head.
Yes.
Well, the Mustangs come out of this timeout leading 40-30, just under 3 minutes left in this ball game. There's Robbie Deemer. He's in a little bit of trouble on the outside. Finds the open Adam Marr.
Great look. Wonderful ball movement under pressure.
And one of the things you saw there, Gateway going a lot more with the double teams. We saw it down here in James. We saw it there. If they can get those open looks as he misses the three there, then they can get the points that they need. If Gateway keeps going into the double team, there's always going to be a guy wide open.
2:20 left.
Just missed a three.
Yeah, 2:15 left in this game. The Mustangs up 42-30, holding the ball, using as much clock as they can.
There's a steal by Bozovic. Looks like the foul will be called on Mike McGuire.
And that's a good foul. That would have been an easy two. It's on the floor.
That's his second. 8th team foul.
Will be
Bozovic will go to the line.
1-and-1 opportunity for the Gators. Got a chance to cut the lead to 10. It's Mike McGuire's second foul. The Gateway's in a situation here, guys. They have to make both.
Bozovic hits the first.
Bozovic, a guy with a smooth stroke, a good shooter, one of those guys you can count on when you get to the line for the Gators.
He has 7 points tonight, Pop, so he's the second leading scorer probably, so.
Perfect on both those two.
The lead is to 10. Just 2 minutes left in this ball game.
So we're under 2 minutes now, about 1:50 left to go as McGuire penetrates. And Robbie Deemer's played a solid game. You can't complain about any of the Mustangs. After that last game, the Penn Hills, Plum, very solid tonight. Up by 10 on the road against Gateways. We're almost at 1.5 minutes as they're just milking every second from this clock.
Just 1:30 left. Still up
They've
by 10.
already went down just about 35 seconds in this possession.
Gateway has to foul. This has to be so incredibly frustrating.
They almost got the steal there, but it was out of bounds.
Down by 10, just over a minute left. Gateway
You
just
gotta
watching
look
the
to
game
foul if you're
slip through their
Gateway.
fingers.
Stolen by Erickton Johns. But Bozovic is there for the rebound.
That's a big-time play for Bozovic. Gateway really needed a play like that, and a nice finish.
He's a really scrappy kind of guy.
They're down by 8. 42-34. Big steal. I agree, guys. 42-34 with 1:12 left. I'm sure Coach Richards is telling the team right now, 1:12 left. Relax. They have to foul. Get the ball past the timeline. Run our offense. We've done it for the first 3 quarters. So we'll see what happens. Surprised we haven't seen Will Fuhr, though, back in. He came out with about, what, 5?
About 5 or 4 minutes, yeah.
3 or 4:23 left. So
He does have 4 fouls, but
Does.
there's a minute left, and you're willing to take that risk with the senior.
It's worked those guys for the last couple minutes. So Coach Richards hasn't changed anything. Excuse me. It's the same 5 guys in. Deemer will be at the other end to stretch the floor. Mike McGuire will inbound. James Edwards will run to the right or left to go to the ball here. And there goes James.
That's not the guy they want to foul.
1:05 remaining. The Mustangs up 42-34.
Gators are looking to steal, but they're wasting a lot of time off the clock.
And we finally see a foul.
Now the problem is that's Gateway's 15th foul. They're going to have to foul 2 more times. We're under a minute now, 56.7 seconds.
Looks like that's Arrington John's 5th foul.
Good call there, Joe. Yeah, Joe, you're all on top of that, huh? All right, good call, Joe.
Now, one thing that, I go to a little flashback here. When 3 years ago when the Mustangs were playing Gateway here, the Mustangs actually had a good lead. It was an 8-point or 6-point lead, but only to lose it at the end due to the fact that Gateway's fast break defense was just so strong. So far, as we've seen this get later in the game, it really hasn't been causing any, trouble for the Mustangs. And you can question whether it be, better coaching or just the addition of James Edwards. He wasn't on the team 3 years ago. As
Sean Paul Kronka just glided
shot
in the
there,
air, but missed the layup.
Again, right here, we see another Mustangs get through the fast break defense and draw a foul.
44.2 left. Score remains 42-34. 16 foul.
Gateway still needs 1 for a chance. Mustangs to miss 1 at the line.
That would be a 1-and-1.
They got to foul fast.
Oh, almost a steal.
Oh. They almost got away with the steal without the foul.
And Taylor Vivino got lucky there. He was pushed, and he will go to the line with a 1-and-1.
Hey, I gotta give Gateway credit. No quit.
Not at all.
Playing to the end, guys. They're finally over the 17 foul, so Mike will go to the line for a 1-and-1. See, Will comes back in. Will Fiore replacing Adam Marr. First time Will's been in the last 3-4 minutes. Plum up by 13. Or excuse me, up by 9 at the 42nd mark.
Big shot by Taylor Vivino. Hits both.
Couple of big time shots for Taylor Vivino.
There's a foul on James Edwards.
And that's a bad foul away from the basket. That's the one thing you don't want to do for James Edwards.
That's his 3rd, team 9th.
Luckily for James, he was not in any foul trouble there. Really won't have much effect on him. But free points without the clock moving, that's not really what you want for the Mustangs.
Daylon Harris misses the first. Rebound Mustangs. They'll foul McGuire. He'll go to the line for the 1-and-1.
And just with 24 seconds left, up by 10, it's looking good for the Mustangs with a senior at the line. It's going to be very difficult for Gateway to mount any kind of comeback at this point.
I think what makes this rivalry so good is you could probably argue this is probably their biggest rivalry, this Fox Chapel, frankly. But even though the Mustangs were leading for probably the whole game, there was never one moment where you felt like this game was over until it got down into the 30-second mark and they were up by 10. The fans on both sides cheer to the end. The teams play all the way to the end. It's always a big physical game. And the past couple of years, the Mustangs have actually beaten them at home. I believe it's the 2nd year in a row. The Mustangs have actually come into their home place, which is notorious for being as strong as their student section is, how tough it is, and actually pretty much won this rivalry for the past 2 years.
And look, that's a great point. You look at the Gateway student section, nobody's going anywhere. They're hanging around. This is a great game. It's always an exciting matchup to watch these two teams play. Plum, with the 44-34 lead, 17.8 left. They have this win secure. They will go back tied atop of the Quad A Section 2 conference. Joe, very impressive performance. Very great response. We talked to a lot of the players on this team. They were determined to come out and win this game, and we've seen one of the best defensive performances that we have seen in a long time for the Mustangs tonight.
We watched Tuesday's game versus Penn Hills, not to keep going back to that game, but it's a great example. Given 76 points up to a 3-8 Penn Hills team at the time, and now they're playing a very good Gateway team on the road in the Ferry Sports Complex, and they've given up 34 points in a very tough environment.
Now, Now, one thing that usually does go unappreciated around basketball is defense. And the Mustangs, you know, you got to have the right personality in order to play such a strong defensive game. Because you got to tell players, you know, you got to dribble the ball more, don't take as many shots, and you got to focus mostly on defense. As you know, we read the stat sheet and how great the Mustangs have been at defense. But to give 34 points up to Gateway, easily one of the top teams in Whippeal, and the biggest rivalry on the roads, is probably one of the most impressive performances we have ever seen. And it looks bright for the Mustangs going forward. And if they don't have that strong of an offense, their defense has been so strong. Same with the football team. You know, they can win, they can beat pretty much any opponent as long as they play strong defense like they did today.
No question about it.
No, you're absolutely right, Logan. And, you know, Plum came in. They were the underdog tonight. They pulled off the upset. They're tied for the section lead. Granted, Plum's going to have to go to Penn Hills and to McKeesport. But at the end of the year, you're going to have the Gators come here. And I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the schedule that closely. Franklin, Fox Chapel, we don't have many home games second half. I'm assuming they were at home.
I do believe they are, Mr. Barat.
Okay, so, hey, Plum did what they had to do. They're almost halfway through the section, and they have one loss. Without a doubt, a great game by our Plum Mustangs here tonight at Gateway. And for us, we've seen 2 wins at Gateway this week, guys. The Plum wrestling team on Monday night with a convincing victory, and now tonight the boy basketball team. So that's all I have. What do you have, Joe?
Well, we saw a very a good performance by the Mustangs here, 44-34 victory. And to add on that, they had great defense. Didn't give up a lot of points. They had very dangerous options on the Gateway side with Vozovic and Daylon Harris being the leading scorers for the Gators, but resilient effort by the Mustangs.
Joe, I think we covered it all. It was a great performance by the Mustangs, a resilient win, and they took care of business here in the Furry Sports Complex.
Yeah, without a doubt, guys. Great game by the Mustangs, and we will have wrestling on Monday night and then 2 more Plum basketball games Tuesday and Friday. So from Gateway High School, the final score tonight, guys, our Plum Mustangs 44, the Gateway Gators 34. Good night, everybody.
Good night.